All right, let's talk about a high school experience that sounds, well, completely insane. We're diving into a story about this Indian high school that is so over the top, you're not going to believe it. It's a wild mix of chaos, a little bit of terror, and honestly, it's hilarious. So let's get right into it.
So, if you really want to get a feel for what this school was like, you just have to look at how they collected tuition fees. We're not talking about a little reminder note sent home. Oh no. If your fees were late, you were publicly humiliated in front of everyone. And get this, the absolute best part? The kid they forced to give a whole speech about the importance of paying fees on time hadn't even paid his own fees. I mean, you can't make this up. That's some next-level psychological warfare right there.
And where did all this public shaming and drama go down? You guessed it, the morning assembly. This wasn't just your typical morning get-together. No, this was a daily trial by fire. It was basically the main stage for the school's, let's call it, unique brand of discipline.
I want you to just picture this for a second. You're a student, and you have to stand for 2 hours, 2 full hours. And for what you ask? A national holiday? A visiting dignitary? Nope. It's because the principal literally went out and bought herself a Woman Power Award, and the entire school had to stand there and celebrate her shopping spree. Seriously, 2 hours on your feet for a bought and paid for trophy.
And when I say standing, I mean you had to be a literal statue. The rules were absolutely brutal. If you so much as moved, twitched an eye, or even dared to wipe the sweat off your face, you were done. The narrator says the ground was basically littered with corpses. That's what he called the kids who fainted or just couldn't take it anymore. It was way less like a school prayer and way more like some intense military boot camp.
Okay, so that's the general vibe of this school. Now let's get a little more personal. Our storyteller, the guy who's telling us all this, had a little side hustle going. He was a pretty decent sketch artist. And, well, he decided to use his artistic talents to try and win over a girl. You can probably guess how this is going to end. It went so wrong.
So the plan seemed foolproof, right? He decides he's going to draw a free portrait of his crush, a girl named Shmeli, to impress her. And at first it worked. She absolutely loved the sketch. She loved it so much, in fact, that she showed it to her boyfriend, Rajesh. And that's when things took a turn. The result of his artistic gesture, our guy got a very physical critique of his work from Rajesh and his buddies. Ouch.
So there he is, nursing his bruises, wondering, what did I do wrong? And here, my friends, is the fatal flaw in his masterpiece. See, he didn't just draw a nice picture of her. Oh no, he decided to sign it. And his signature? A big, bold, I love you, Shmeli. Yeah, that was probably the mistake. It's always the little details, isn't it?
You better believe he learned his lesson about doing free art after that. Sometime later, a teacher forces him to draw a portrait of the principal, also for free. This time, he hands in literally the worst, most scribbled drawing he's ever done. And when the teacher asked what was up with it, his response was just perfect. "Ma'am, this is what you get for free." Can't argue with that logic.
Okay, so we've had public humiliation and romantic disasters, but that was all just the warm-up act. Now we get to the main event, the Great Smart Class Scam. This is where we learn that the school's most important subject wasn't math or science. It was creative fundraising.
I mean, you can just picture the teacher sitting around in a meeting, right? And you know the main topic on the agenda wasn't, how can we improve education? It was almost certainly, okay, team, what's a new way we can squeeze some more money out of these kids and their parents?
And their genius solution was the smart class. Here's how it worked. The school gets one single projector. They tell all the parents it's for advanced learning and charge them an extra fee. And what do the students get for this extra money? They get to watch a super blurry movie projected onto the ceiling once a week. So the teachers get more money for doing less work. Seems like a win-win, right? Well, for everyone except the students who were supposed to be getting smart.
And what if your parents didn't pay the extra smart fee? Well, you were just kicked out of the classroom. Simple as that. The story goes that one kid who was kicked out just peeked his head back in for 1 second, and they charged him 10 rupees for that one blurry glimpse. You honestly cannot make this stuff up.
But believe it or not, all of that, the public shaming, the brawls, the scams, was small potatoes. It was nothing compared to the one incident that would become the school's biggest crisis ever. An event so huge it brought the entire school to a grinding halt. What was it? A terrorist threat? A natural disaster? Nope. It was a single love letter.
And of course, who was the letter for? Shmeli, obviously. She's at the center of everything.
Now, the school's reaction to finding this letter was completely proportional and not at all insane. I'm kidding, it was nuts. Teachers just abandoned their classes mid-sentence. Teachers who were on vacation literally turned their cars around and drove back to school to help with the investigation. They even called in an expert, a guy who claimed he could identify the culprit just by reading their face. This wasn't a school issue anymore. This was a full-blown criminal investigation.
So they started rounding up suspects and taking them to a room they called the dungeon. The whole scene was chaos. You had one teacher literally torturing kids for information, while another teacher was sitting in the corner correcting the spelling mistakes in the love letter itself. Priorities, right? Naturally, our narrator gets accused by his old rival Rajesh. For a second, his innocent face almost gets him off the hook. But in the end, under all that pressure, it didn't matter. They interrogated so many kids that eventually everyone confessed to writing it.
Now, with basically the entire male student body confessing to writing the letter, you'd think the case would be closed, right? Case solved, mystery over. But nope, this absolutely bizarre story has one last, very weird twist coming.
Here it is. They never actually found out who wrote the letter. But Rajesh, the guy who pointed the finger at our narrator, right after he did that, he just disappeared, vanished from the school, never seen again. So I guess the school's system of justice works in really, really mysterious ways.
And so, this whole insane story just ends. It ends with a total mystery. The school solved absolutely nothing, but in the process, they created this epic legend. And it leaves us, and probably everyone who ever went to that school, with the one question that was never answered. Who on earth actually wrote that love letter?